Hey, welcome back. My name is Rob, aka Memory Lapse, and this is my second Sivir video guide in my Ultimate Sivir video guide series. There's been a lot of changes in League of Legends to Sivir specifically and to League of Legends in general since my last video guide, so I thought it was time to give it an update. There's a lot to get to, so let's dive right in. First, let's start talking about the major change to Sivir since the last guide is her boomerang blade, her Q, has been nerfed. It now no longer scales off of attack damage all, it scales off of only bonus attack damage. So basically only the damage that you get from your items will scale into your Q, which is a pretty significant nerf because we were running attack damage runes, and that adds to base damage, not to bonus damage. So that was kind of double dipping before and no longer is able to do that. But that's okay. Those are still great runes to run, and we're going to run almost the same package. But we've had to move some stuff around and change our build a little bit to adjust to Riot's new meta. Okay, so what is a meta? Meta is basically what Riot wants its game to be. And right before, when I made my video guide about 6 months ago or so, 5 months ago, the meta was clearly tanky DPS. Riot acknowledged that, and since then they've made a number of changes to shift the meta to late game DPS. They gave the power back to the hard carries, the late carries. So we can go ahead and move our build and our playstyle right along with that meta. And we can retain about 90% of the way we used to play Sivir, meaning that she still does almost every single thing that she used to do as per my old guide in this new build. But we get there a little bit differently. Like the route that we get there is a little bit different because we have to stay ahead of the damage curve. And we'll take a look at how we do that. So let's take a look real quick at the rune package we'll be running. It's very close to what I used to run. We've got damage per level almost all. So that's reds, yellows, blues, damage per level, giving us 38. The other package would give us 45, so we're sacrificing 7 damage at by level 18, which isn't much. And in exchange, we've traded in our quints for health regen per 5. Now, why would I do that? Well, we're not going Warmogs. Warmogs is for the tanky DPS meta. Riot has shifted it over to the endgame DPS meta by introducing Black Cleaver, revamping that, and making all items that take BF Sword reduced in cost by 200, as well as reducing BF Sword's cost by 200, which is awesome. So let's take advantage of that. Don't go against the grain, go with the grain. Riot wants late game DPS. Let's go for it. So we've got a like almost, like I would say, 85%, 80% of a BF sword by level 18. Pretty good. Still about 1,400 gold worth of damage. And the health regen, which 8.1, great. So the mastery set is going to be pretty similar to what we ran in the first one. Full 22, 0, 22, 8 package, so a full defensive package. And the only support runes that we're running, or support masteries that we're running, is Perseverance, 1 point in spatial accuracy, obviously, for the teleport, and the awareness EXP. Now, why Perseverance? Well, at first I thought that was trash, but it does help. Regen, you can't have enough of it, so there's some extra regen there. We've got the regen Strength of Spirit. This will add about 2 to 3 at the beginning of the level, at the beginning of the game, and by level 6 it's adding about 3 to 4. So yeah, that helps. This in conjunction with the runes, the 8.1 we get from runes, will keep us in our lane just as good as we were using the Pendant of Regrowth. So we still have our regen in place, and that's the key to this whole thing. We're going to have everything in place. We just moved it around a little bit. So when starting out of the game, we'll have the regen in place. We're going to start out with a Meki Pendant, so we'll have mana regen in place and 2 health pots just to boost us up for any extra health regen we might need. So that's the runes and masteries. Now let's move right along into the build. I'm going to show you the main build that I use mostly. And this is the build right here, but this is the core. So let's just talk about the core because, let's be honest, not every game goes to the point where you're going to get 6 items. But 4 items, yeah, 4 or 5 items on average, that's your whole game. So let's just look at these first 4 items. That's your core. Where it goes from there is debatable. So the 2 items you notice here are the Chalice of Harmony and the Berserker Greaves. These are identical to my build from before. I can't say enough about this as a great base jumping point for Sivir players. Whatever your play style may be, this is a great place to start. The Chalice gives you all the mana you'll ever need. As you can see, I've gotten rid of all the mana regen from my runes and put that into damage to give me some space for my health regen. And also a quick note on those. Let me just go back to the runes real quick here. I want to talk about these runes real quick. If you don't think that you need that much health regen, you can start sacrificing these quints. Like, if you feel like that's too much regen, I don't need it, I'd rather have the damage, just, you know, swap them out. Maybe you only want 2. And now you're only down 2 damage from before, and you still got 5.4 health, you know, per 5 at level 1, which is great. So that's an option. Either way, these 2 are your first 2 items. So when you get in lane, you're going to start the game with a Meki Pendant and 2 red pots, 2 health potions. When you get to 1410 gold, you will have enough for both of these items here real quick. Now you can get there in under 8 minutes, and that should be your goal. You're not gonna do it every single time, but I would say you want to be able to do it 80% of the time. Farm good enough, be good enough at getting last hits consistently that you're getting these 2 items by the 8-minute mark. And if you can do that, then the rest of your game is going to be set. So these are the 2 core items, and from there, our first item is going to be the Black Cleaver. Now you can get the 2 sub pieces for these 2 items before you get the BF sword and complete an item. What I mean by that is you can get the dagger and you can get the Vamp Scepter, and that'll give you added on hit effects, you know, in addition to your ricochet. So if you want to do that, go ahead. I do that a lot, actually. In fact, sometimes I get both small items for these 2, like the dagger and the Vamp Scepter. Then I'll get 2 BF swords, and then I'll finish them both off, both of those items. So it depends. It depends on how your goal is. You can be the judge of which way you want to go and when. But the idea is that this item first, because it gives you attack speed and great damage and armor stripping, and then you'll have your Vamp Scepter pretty early, probably before you even get the Black Cleaver. So you'll have some life steal to keep you in the lane, survived in the fights, and then you finish off your Bloodthirster. So that's a great combo right there. So there's your first 4 items, and we can take a look at what that's going to give you in terms of damage at level 18. So we've got damage here, 296. That's pretty good for 4 items, and let's note the cost on it too. It's only 7,675. That's pretty low. That's very achievable within the first 25 minutes of the game. No problem. You should be able to do that. Under 30 easily. So as long as you get your core around 25, 27 minutes, you should be set to late carry into the late game. No problem. So 292 and 1.4 attack speed, which is really great. So we've got 25% lifesteal. Can't argue with that. So you're healing up, you know, 70, 80 a hit, depending on what your enemy's armor is and damage block and all that. So that's the core. Now we can take a look at what that will spring off into late game. So we have here is the Frozen Mallet. I love getting Frozen Mallet as my next item, and I usually can complete the Frozen Mallet in just about every game. Rarely will I go past that, but when you get your Frozen Mallet, it's just so fun to melt them down. They can't get away from you. It gives you another on-hit effect. So let's just, review. We've got Ricochet, which is an awesome on-hit effect. We've got Armor Stripping. We've got Life Steal. We've got a Slow. And look out. You know, and you're tanky from this. This gives you a good solid chunk of hit points, 700. So you're tanky. They don't want to mess with you. You can get away easily with flash and your ult. So you're going to melt towers. You're going to be hard person to kill and a hard person to get away from. So, and then we'll cap that off with the Madred's Blood Razor if the game goes that long. That's a lot of farming, you know, almost 15,000 worth of gold. So if the game goes that long, sure, throw that on there and become, you know, you can kill anybody with this setup here. I don't care who you are, you're going to be able to melt them down. So, and then obviously if he keeps going even farther, you can always throw away the Chalice of Harmony at any given point and put in whatever item you want there. That's the beauty of getting that as your first item. It's a throwaway item. It's 890 gold. It's 400 that you're throwing away. 490. Who cares at the end of the game that you threw away 490? It's served its purpose more than well. You know, it's paid for itself many, many times over. So don't underestimate the Chalice. We can still have our same build. And now what are we going to do with this build? How are we going to play her? That's the next main thing that we want to talk about when we talk about Sivir. So is her gameplay the same post the changes? Yes, it is. She can still crush towers very easily, as you're going to see in some of these clips here. Lots and lots of towers are going to be falling down with this build. She can still stay in the lane early on and be impossible to push out because you got great regen and they don't even know it. So you've got, starting at level 1, somewhere around, you want to say 11 or 12 per 5 hit point regen, which is really great. That's, you know, there's your Pendant of Regrowth equivalent right there. So you can start with a Meki Pendant and your potions, which, oh yeah, free hit point potions, which you probably won't even need, but you've got them there too. So you go to the lane, you dominate your lane because you've got mana regen, you've got hit point regen. The Berserker Boots and the Cup give you magic resist and attack speed, which you need. Then we move right on into some more attack speed and more damage, which we need, by the Black Cleaver. And then it's just a matter of stripping them down, kill. You can melt anything. Take a look at some of these clips. You'll see me melting stuff here and there. So yeah, it happens, but what you really want to be is that you're the outside man. You're pushing towers while the other 4 are together. You can get the towers down. Even maybe if they lose a person, you get the tower. So you're going to be breaking towers left and right with this build. You pop your ult with all these things together. The waves of creeps melt in a second in front of you. You stay ahead of the damage curve. Anybody gets near you, they're going to have to be careful. And you can get away. You've still got your flash. You've still got your spell shield. You've still got your ult. Sivir has escape. You know, she doesn't have a direct escape mechanism, but with some clever play and some nice escape moves, if you get some good instincts, you can get away most of the time, just like you always could. You don't need all of that tankiness, and the meta has shifted, so we're going to shift with it. So basically, now you have a good idea of how to build her, what runes and masteries to use, and a justification for it. Now I'm going to put some more videos up that will show you some of the tips and tricks and other ways to play her, other builds. I have one in particular that I want to show you. You can take a look at. This is the core, and this is the final build. That's an excellent build there too, but you have to farm really fast. So if you're having a great build, a great game, try this on for size as your 4 core, and then move on from there. That's a great setup for it. Okay guys, so that's about it, and we'll see you in future videos. Take care.